Hello everyone, and welcome to the first in our series of webinars on reading. So this first session today is all about why reading is so crucial for your child in order for them to be successful in school. So what I'll be going through in this video is what are some of the barriers to reading, why your child might find it difficult, and then offer some suggestions as to what you can do at home to help improve their reading skills. So to start with, let's look at the state of affairs across the UK. Kent is no different to the rest of the UK in that a quarter of the students at age 15 still have a reading age of 12 or below. This is an endemic problem that we have across the UK, and many reasons as to why our child's reading skills aren't where they need them to be. Potentially the language itself, it takes Greek, Latin, French, German roots, and it is a really hard language for our children to grasp. When it comes to reading, the gender gap actually widens at secondary school, and girls outperform boys in terms of their reading skills. And I'll go on to say this in just a bit more detail in a moment and show you some figures, but there is a massive correlation between your child's reading ability and their performance in their subjects. So, quite simply put, if your child is a good reader, they're going to do well at school. That's the bottom line. So let's take a look at how specifically correlated reading skills are to certain subjects. So anything above 0.6 is normally considered statistically significant. So what we've got on the screen here is a measure from GL Assessment, and they actually assess 500,000 students each year on their reading ability skills. What they have done here is to pull together the correlation between the eventual performance in that subject and the reading ability. So geography might be a little bit surprising there for you, but what you'll hopefully be able to see from this table is that if your child is a good reader, they are going to be a better mathematician. If your child is a good reader, they're going to be better scientists as well. Interestingly as well, there's this correlation between reading abilities and drama. So what we might be able to deduce from that is that there's a link between reading abilities and creativity as well. So now let's take a look at the actual barriers to reading, because asking your child to read for 20 minutes a night, with all the best intentions in the world, if your child is not an independent reader, they're going to find this difficult. And as they go through secondary school, they're going to find it increasingly difficult as the level of texts build up and the demands of the writing increase for them as well. So take a look at this illustration on the screen. What you'll be able to see here is all of the different strands that are woven together to create the skilled reader. Now, you might not find reading difficult yourself because it's probably that you do that automatically. If you are a good reader, if you're someone that's built those reading habits over time, it's unlikely that you're going to have to stop and make sure you really understand a sentence. Potentially if something's quite wordy or a little bit verbose, or there's a figure in there that you don't quite understand and need to reread it. But most of the time, that's going to be very automatic for you as a skilled, advanced reader. Now, for our children who haven't quite developed these independent reading skills, reading is really, really hard. There is so much that goes into reading that makes it difficult. So on the left-hand side here, you'll see two strands that are really the umbrella terms of what makes reading such a challenge. We've got all of these things playing against each other, the language comprehension and the word recognition. And once we have built these strong, independent reading habits, that becomes increasingly automatic. So you might have a child at home that is saying to you, I don't want to read for 20 minutes every night, it's boring. But maybe the question to ask them instead is, okay, is it boring or is it difficult? And starting to unpick whether it's an engagement issue or whether it's a language or word recognition challenge that they're having. Ultimately, what we're aiming to achieve from this 20 minutes reading per day is to help create better reading reading student so that they will do well in across their subjects. So we say 20 minutes a day because what the research suggests behind that is that if they do it consistently, it's going to help build enjoyment, which is therefore going to create these positive attitudes, which then in turn leads to this consistent habit of reading for pleasure, which ultimately has a massive impact on their reading in the subjects that they do at school. Now, I know that's not necessarily that easy, and what I'll show you now are some suggestions that we think might help in terms of getting your child reading for those 20 minutes at home every day. Firstly, have a discussion with them about what they actually love. What are their interests? What are their hobbies? These are probably changing every month or so as they're teenagers, but there will be some kind of common trends and things that they really enjoy. Why not use that and find some books that are based around that thing that they love? If they're really into BMXing or they're really into golf, why not find some reading material to support with that? You've already got them in because they engage with that topic, so half of the battle is done already. Then it's just finding something that they'll think they'll enjoy linked to that. Secondly, we have a reading list on the school website, so that's available and you can search it from year 7 to right up to 6th form, and what's on there is a description of the book. So something you might like to do with your child is to go through that reading list, perhaps read some of the descriptions together, give them a bit of list, send them to the school library and get them to take out those books. Even better, if there was a book you both like the sounds of, why not read it together? That could be a really powerful shared experience for you to do with your child, and I'm sure something that they would really love and really value. Another thing to mention is that any type of reading is going to be beneficial for them. Well, I've said any type of reading, but probably reading messages from their friends or reading comments on Instagram or YouTube is not the type of reading that we want. But say a poster or a magazine comes through the door, maybe they're really into a particular niche subject and they spend time on Wikipedia reading all up about that. Any type of reading is going to be good for them. The most important part is getting that consistency of reading, so it builds that positive habit and that routine. Additionally, there is a website called Barrington Stoke, and what they offer there are a range of books that are dyslexia friendly for some students. Now, these I think are great entry books because for children that are disengaged with reading, they can be the perfect thing to re-engage them back into reading. So they're edited in such a way that the chapters are usually a lot shorter than in an ordinary book, so those quick wins are felt more often by your child. The font size is a little bit easier on the eye, and they're printed on coloured paper. That means there's less eye strain as well. Ask them questions about what they're reading. Once they're reading something, talk to them about it. As humans, we love to discuss stories. I mean, that's why we're alive as humans, through storytelling, through warning each other. Don't put your hands in the fire, don't do this, you should do this, don't eat this. So naturally, as humans, we are inquisitive, and by asking your child what they're reading, it's going to really help to support the idea that reading is something that we do as adults, and it's something we do as lifelong learners. This one might seem a little bit random, but reading to pets is also a great thing for your child to do. I can appreciate that in the evenings it's all chaotic, everyone's doing something, everyone's got something they need to do. So asking them to read aloud to their pets is something that is a really powerful and valuable thing for them to do. There's a lot of research to show that not only does it aid comprehension, but it also helps to build empathy with the characters as well. And I'm sure the pets will love the extra time they get to spend with your child. Few more things that we can offer here. So why not go to the library or the bookshop together, split off, say you've got 25 minutes, we'll come back together and then we'll have a look at what you've chosen. Giving your child the autonomy over what they read is really important, especially as they get a little bit older, where they might want to experiment with different genres of books. Maybe in year 7 and 8 they were really into books about horses, but they might be intrigued with something else. So give them that time and space to choose something that they want to read. Another approach is to kind of have a book in mind that you want them to read, but kind of sell it in a way that is a little bit too gritty for them. Maybe they're not quite old enough yet, or maybe maybe they're not ready for it yet. And soon enough, I'm sure your child will be begging to read that book, especially if they think there's something juicy inside of it. Another idea is to be a reading role model yourself. It's really important that we show our children what good readers do, and how they can build these habits in the everyday lives that we experience. Everyone's only got 24 hours a day, so where do you fit reading into your day? What types of things are you reading? And show them that there is a world out there of reading, and there's lots on offer as long as they start to explore it. This one might be a little contentious one, but having a phone-free hour in the household. Maybe you work up to an hour if the hour seems too long. Start with 10, 15 minutes and build up to it. And just make it routine, make it a habit. Everyone switches off the devices, the Wi-Fi goes off, and everyone picks up something they want to read. This can be really, really powerful in using perhaps older children that you've got in your household with younger children, getting them to be a role model for them as well. Other things that might work are the use of audiobooks. So there's research to suggest that audiobooks are particularly engaging for disengaged boys. Primary schools work so hard to create that love of reading, and it's almost like in secondary school they lose it. So engaging them in an audiobook, maybe getting them a nice little pair of headphones as well so that they can listen to it on the way to school. And with most audiobook apps, we've got Sora at this school, so you can see how much they've read and for what length of time. But most of them do give you that data, so in terms of checking that they are reading as well and listening, that can be quite handy. And if you're worried if they're listening to it, are they still taking it in? The answer is yes. There is a fair bit of research that suggests that listening comprehension is nearly as good as reading comprehension. So if it's an entryway into reading, a gateway back into reading, then perfect. And finally, what we often suggest as well is that gentle encouragement and rewards can work really well for your children. Children don't want to be dictated what they should read and when they should read it. Instead, it's that gentle encouragement, and perhaps some added incentives for them as well. So, I don't know, you read 4 books across this year, and we take a trip to Thorpe Park. Something that works for you and your family. So that's all of the suggestions that we've got today. I hope you found this first session useful. We've not done anything like this before when it comes to reading and kind of communicating with you as parents, so please do let us know what you thought of it. Please let us know if there's any other topics you'd like us to cover, and we'll get recording. Share as much as you can, with friends, family, and fingers crossed we'll see our children reading what they love. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.